like, oh, we're happy because now we feel safe. I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacist, because I specifically as a black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues, and frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership, if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremists. I definitely take issue with a number of decisions that Donald Trump makes, especially when it comes to the people that he decides to appoint to very important positions, including this one, because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday. But let's go through some of your failures. So before you were even confirmed, and I think one of my colleague from Georgia, pointed out that you are already targeting career officials so that you could direct illegal firings. Mind you, these cases that you were so upset about, which are the ones tied to Trump, the cases came through his handpicked FBI director. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, we're happy because now we feel safe, I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacist, because I specifically as a black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues, and frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership, if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. And I know my colleagues have tried to stress this, but I decided that I would maybe do it in a different way. Number one, I have a couple of UCs. Kim Buck, one of multiple Republicans receiving death threats for voting against Jim Jordan as House Speaker.
Without objection.
Another one, Republican lawmaker says she received death threats after voting against Jim Jordan in Speaker's race.
Without objection.
In addition, there was another one from another colleague who now is leaving Congress because they said that they were calling his wife anonymously and threatening her life to the extent that she ended up sleeping with a firearm.
Without objection.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people, and even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody, and then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap. Because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice or whatever you want to call him. The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're gonna do anything about the white supremacy problem. The one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot, as well as members of their community as they're worshiping in their churches.
Let's step directly into the blast radius of this House Judiciary Committee hearing, because what we are witnessing is an absolute rhetorical demolition derby. We are looking at a masterclass in how congressional oversight can be weaponized into an unsanitized personal takedown of executive appointments. Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas takes the floor, and she completely bypasses the usual polite, bureaucratic back and forth. She trains her sights right on FBI Director Kash Patel and unloads a blistering critique that challenges his very right to hold the office. Look at how Crockett builds her narrative framework right out of the gate. She doesn't just call Patel an ineffective leader, she explicitly brands him the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI. To back that up, she highlights a stark structural anomaly. Patel is the only director to lead the Bureau without ever having actually served within its ranks prior to taking the top job. By doing this, Crockett instantly frames his leadership not as the culmination of a distinguished career in law enforcement, but as a purely partisan, top-down imposition. But the friction hits an entirely new gear at the 1 minute and 24-second mark. Crockett shifts the battlefield away from resumes and drops into a deeply personal, systemic indictment of the Bureau's current priorities. She flatly states, "I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacist, because I specifically, as a black woman, definitely don't feel safe." This is a heavy, emotionally charged moment that completely changes the temperature of the room. It moves the debate out of the abstract and anchors it to the real-world anxieties of minority communities who feel abandoned by federal law enforcement. Crockett then strategically addresses a common political talking point. While partisan debates frequently focus on left-wing unrest, she enters multiple unanimous consent agreements into the record detailing severe death threats aimed at Republicans, specifically lawmakers who broke ranks during internal speaker battles. This is a clever chess move. By highlighting threats against members of Patel's own political orbit, she attempts to prove that right-wing extremism isn't just a threat to one party. It's a systemic danger to the entire democratic framework, and she argues the FBI under Patel is intentionally downplaying it. The absolute climax of her cross-examination focuses on administrative failure and political showmanship. She calls out Patel for admitting to the Senate that it would take a staggering 14 years to get the FBI fully staffed, while simultaneously accusing him of pulling elite agents off crucial domestic terror assignments to essentially play ICE agents on the streets. She mocks the Bureau's recent victory laps on social media, pointing out that in a recent high-profile case, the suspect had already confessed online and was only caught because his own parents turned him in. She caps this off with a razor-sharp jab, accusing the director of treating the nation's premier law enforcement agency like a reality TV stage, stating the FBI is just trying to put on a show for The Apprentice. When you step back from the intense political theater of this 4-minute exchange, look at the deeper diagnostic reality it exposes. This transcript lays bare a profound breakdown of trust between lawmakers and the intelligence community. It shows a fractured landscape where a major federal agency is accused of purging its own institutional expertise to serve an executive agenda, leaving communities to grapple with domestic threats while the top brass faces intense accusations of incompetence and political sycophancy.